100 Meters is an anime flick that I've had my eye on for a little while. Unlike a great deal many anime films which I've been able to catch details of, this is an original story, and not a continuation of a series, so it's one that I could just sit down and switch on. As an anime fan, and a film fan with little time for TV shows, this is one that I had been looking forward to. It's about the relationship between two runners who specialize in the 100 meter sprint, from their childhood into adulthood. It's an animated film, so, naturally, my attention initially is drawn to how the narrative and the form are able to fit together cohesively. The whole, why does this story need to be animated, question of it all. 100 Meters is a visual treat. It uses conventional anime tricks to bring the story to life. Most notable is the use of speed lines in conjunction with subjective POV shots, which convey the personal perspectives of these runners. That's what I love so much about animation. The ability to discard realism as the filmmakers wish, and mold it to fit the internal states of the characters the film focuses on. Faces contort as a result of personal drive and sheer speed. The grammar of the world itself seems to change at a moment's notice. The backdrop is erased to place paramount emphasis on what is center frame. The audience knows what's up. They don't need to be caught up on how the story physics work. They're just in it. Quote-unquote melodrama is an inherent part of anime, I find, and the main thing about melodrama is that the heightening of emotions needs to land in order to not numb a viewer. Animation, by nature of not being true to life in its presentation, has an added layer of suspension of disbelief, which I think leaves audiences more capable of digesting sentimental, heart-on-their-sleeves emotions. Not saying that it's impossible for live-action cinema to reach a point of good melodrama, but it only works when fully committed to, and honest. Anime, especially the kind of anime which 100 Meters falls into, is maybe the purest form of easily digestible, sincere melodrama. The film succeeds in spite of a general dislike I have in anime. Rotoscoping. A slight gripe I have is how jarring the transition from traditional 2D to rotoscoping often is in anime films. It's the only thing that really pulls me out of recent anime films when it emerges. But here in 100 Meters, the rotoscoping adds life to moments of status, pre-race, makes the actual running more lifelike without distracting from the rest of the film. At the end of the day, 100 Meters is an aspirational sports movie where the audience is offered two primary conflicting perspectives on the act of winning: talent versus training, amid a myriad of others which are represented through the supporting cast. By the time the credits roll, I think the examination on the costs of winning and, more importantly, the persisting relationships at the heart of the 100 meter sprint, which connects all the contestants in the final race, is a satisfying one, even if it does tread similar ground to a menagerie of sports films before it. I do not intend to spoil, but the ending isn't necessarily original and can be genuinely predicted. It doesn't prevent the emotional peak from hitting as the film's metaphors collide into a sensational third act climax. It doesn't have to be how original a subject a film is tackling, but how it does so, and I think that the multi-year spanning story of these two sprinters, with the bold visuals and particularly good closing shot, comes to a satisfying conclusion. 100 Meters doesn't reinvent the proverbial wheel of the aspirational sports drama when it comes to its story, but I found its use of time jumps to examine the cost of winning, putting one's all into the act of solely winning for legacy and personal worth to be engaging. The characters themselves are fun to follow, especially Togashi as the naturally gifted one, who has to come to terms with his aging body and his relationship to winning. The film's best scene, I think. But yeah, most important is the film's distinct animation, which elevates the film into being as great as I found it to be. 100 Meters. 4 stars. Well, that's all. Keep on watching movies, and form your own opinions. See you in the next one.